Huge. The Buffalo Bills could start negotiating for a new addition at any moment. A trade is on the way. Leave your like, subscribe, share, and let's get to the news. If there's one thing the Buffalo Bills and the San Francisco 49ers have in common this season, it's that both teams are facing major uncertainty at the linebacker position. Two franchises that came into the year with Super Bowl aspirations are now dealing with defensive instability at one of the most important spots on the field. And with the NFL trade deadline looming, both could soon find themselves competing not just on the field, but also in the trade market. For San Francisco, the news couldn't have been worse. The 49ers are reeling after the devastating, season-ending injury to Fred Warner, the emotional and tactical leader of their defense. Warner has been the heart of the Niners system for years, a player whose intelligence, range, and toughness make him nearly irreplaceable. His absence leaves a massive void in the middle of a defense that has built its identity around dominance, discipline, and physicality. No single player can fully replace what Fred Warner brings, but the 49ers are now being forced to look for someone who can at least stabilize that unit for the rest of the season. Meanwhile, in Buffalo, the situation is different, but equally concerning. Star linebacker Matt Milano, one of the best coverage linebackers in the league, has been battling injuries and has spent more time on the sideline than the Bills would like. When he's been available, he's made his usual impact, but the inconsistency in his availability has exposed the lack of depth behind him. The Bills' linebacker core, once considered a strength, has struggled to maintain the same intensity and reliability, particularly in coverage and against the run. Given those issues, it's no surprise that both the Bills and the 49ers are being linked to potential reinforcements. According to Bleacher Report's Christopher Knox, one name that could soon gain traction in trade discussions is Tennessee Titans linebacker Cody Barton. Barton isn't a superstar, but he's exactly the kind of player that contending teams look for when injuries strike: experienced, durable, and productive. Knox mentioned both the Bills and the 49ers as potential suitors for Barton, highlighting how both teams could benefit from his steady presence in the middle of the defense. The 28-year-old linebacker, who turns 29 in November, has quietly built a solid NFL resume over the past few years. After spending time with the Seattle Seahawks and Washington Commanders, Barton signed a 3-year, $21 million deal with the Tennessee Titans in the offseason. He started all 6 games this year for the Titans, racking up 38 tackles, including 1 tackle for loss, along with 2 passes defended. Those numbers might not leap off the page, but they paint the picture of a consistent, reliable contributor, exactly the type of player teams like Buffalo and San Francisco are looking for right now. Over the past 3 seasons, Barton has been a tackling machine, recording over 100 tackles each year and posting a career-high 136 back in 2022. He's not elite at any one specific aspect of linebacker play, but his well-rounded skill set makes him valuable. He can diagnose plays quickly, hold his ground against the run, and drop into coverage effectively when needed. For Tennessee, Barton's situation is a little more complicated. The Titans have stumbled out of the gate with a disappointing 1-5 record, and it's becoming increasingly clear that the franchise is headed for a rebuild. With a new head coach expected to arrive in 2026 and the current roster in flux, General Manager Ran Carthon could start shopping veterans who might bring back future draft capital. Barton, at age 28 and on a reasonable contract, fits that description perfectly. Trading Barton now could make sense for Tennessee. He's a good player, but he's also one of the few remaining pieces on defense that could fetch a mid to late round pick in return, potentially a day 3 selection that would help stockpile assets for the future. For a team looking to reset and retool, that kind of move could be a small but smart step in the right direction. On the other hand, for the Bills and the 49ers, acquiring Barton would be all about the present. Both teams are firmly in win-now mode. They don't have time to wait for younger players to develop or for injured starters to return at full strength. They need stability, leadership, and experience, and Barton checks all 3 boxes. Let's start with Buffalo. Sean McDermott's defense has been one of the most respected units in the NFL for years, built on discipline and execution. But the loss of Milano, combined with injuries across the defensive front, has created cracks in the foundation. Opponents have found success attacking the middle of the field, something that rarely happened in past seasons. Barton could provide an immediate upgrade in that area, bringing the kind of tackling consistency and football IQ that the Bills desperately need to regain their defensive identity. Barton's presence would also allow the Bills to rotate their linebackers more effectively, giving younger players time to develop while ensuring the unit remains steady week after week. His experience in both zone coverage and run defense fits perfectly with Buffalo's defensive schemes, making him an easy plug-and-play addition. As for the 49ers, the move would be just as logical, if not more so. Losing Fred Warner is a blow that no single player can fix, but Barton could help mitigate the damage. He's not the same caliber of athlete as Warner, but his ability to communicate, read offenses, and stay disciplined within a system would make him a strong fit in San Francisco's scheme under defensive coordinator Nick Sorensen. The 49ers pride themselves on being a physical, assignment-sound defense, and Barton's style of play fits that mold. Adding Barton wouldn't just fill a roster spot, it would send a message. For both the Bills and 49ers, it would show that their front offices are committed to doing whatever it takes to stay in contention. A Day 3 draft pick might not sound like much, but for a veteran linebacker capable of starting right away, it's a small price to pay for a potential difference-maker down the stretch. There's also the chemistry factor to consider. Barton has earned a reputation as a high-character player and a leader in the locker room, something that teams like Buffalo and San Francisco value immensely. With both organizations chasing championships, adding a player who brings professionalism, work ethic, and leadership could make an impact far beyond the stat sheet. Ultimately, it comes down to timing and opportunity. The Titans are clearly looking toward the future, while the Bills and 49ers are fighting to stay atop their conferences. It's the classic trade deadline formula, a rebuilding team with valuable veterans, and two contenders desperate for stability. The math adds up, and the fit makes sense. If Barton is indeed made available, expect both the Bills and the Niners to make inquiries. For San Francisco, the move could help salvage a defense suddenly without its heart and soul. For Buffalo, it could be the piece that restores balance to a defense struggling with depth and injuries. In the end, Cody Barton may not be the biggest name on the trade market, but sometimes it's not about star power, it's about fit, need, and timing. And right now, both the Bills and the 49ers find themselves in a position where adding a dependable, battle-tested linebacker could be the difference between a good season and a great one. Whether Barton ends up in Buffalo, San Francisco, or somewhere else entirely, one thing is clear: as the trade deadline approaches, his name is one that every contender should have circled. Comment on your thoughts on this trade option for the Bills. Do you think Cody Barton is a good option for Josh Allen's team? Thanks for watching, and see you next time.